I have been fighting with this nut to try to get it out. It's tight on both sides. Uh, Damn this tape. It's tight on both sides, and I think they put it in with quite a bit of CA glue, and so I've been tapping on it with the hammer and my little wood blocks like I normally do, but it's just not moving whatsoever. So I thought last night, what else can I do? And I thought, okay, let me try this and see if any of the tapping helped. Wow, it's really, oh, I felt a little movement. Yes, it's coming. I don't want it to rip out a lot of the base wood down there underneath. I put the tape so that the sharp edges here wouldn't score the top of my fretboard. Oh, yes, straight up. Wow. Yeah, that was glued in pretty good. Now they said this was bone, but it doesn't cut like bone. It bends like that, so it's actually got to be a polycarbonate because bone doesn't bend like that, okay? And normally there's little holes in there where they blow up, but this one seems to be a solid polycarbonate. And I wanted to get it out intact so I could check the height of it against my other ones to see. Yeah, it's a little bit taller. Which they often are than the standard bone ones that I get. Not by much, and it might just actually work. Okay, these are actually also very, a little bit thicker. Not very, but a little bit thicker that doesn't fit in that slot. I think I have one here that I filed down once and then I didn't end up using it. Maybe I did. No, it seems like all the bones are like that. I have this new bone, which is too small for the slot and not big enough. I also have a black one, which is a plastic or polycarbonate. And of course, this titanium is also going to be much too wide. I do have some brass ones as well. These are 43 millimeters. Here's my original. My original 43. Yes. And the brass ones are also quite wide. But as far as height goes, yeah, they're also shorter. They're also shorter than the polycarbonate by a little bit. But where the strings are cut into the polycarbonate is about the same place as the ones on the brass or the bone. So I'm going to end up, this one seems thinner than the rest. For some reason, I don't know. It's not by much. It's just going to have to come off a tiny little bit. And to smooth it off, I'm going to run it on the front side because it's the flat side where the high point is on your nut, right? So I want it to be this side. So I maintain this. If you go on the back side, you might change the angle a little bit, and it's got a little bit of a curvature there that has been, sanded onto it. So try to keep this top part and the front sharp, okay? So that's what I'm going to do. And I usually use this aluminum block. And I have, what's this, a 320 and I think 220, or a 180 and a 320. And I'll just run it carefully across there. Like I might do a little bit on the rough one first. Take a gauge, a little bit. And then once I get really close, I'll move over here, and then I'll just give it a little bit more of a smoothing so that it's not too rough on the front edge to get it to go in the slot. So that's what I'm going to do. It's almost there as it is. And then I'll put the strings back up on the top and see what the height is over the first fret. There is a divot of some kind already on this fretboard, which I didn't do. Yeah, there's a little bit of an abrasion there, and I think the divot is in the wood and it's covered with poly, but there's an abrasion there in the poly. I might be able to get that out with a little bit of buffing cream. Yeah, okay. See you in a bit. As what has occurred on some other guitars, they have a unique size nut, which is taller than the standards that I normally get, for Fender style guitars. And so what I did is I built myself a small wooden shim to go underneath the bone nut, which this will be glued into the bottom of the slot, and then this will be glued in the slot and on the top of this shim. So I'm just going to use this little paintbrush to dab a little bit of wood glue down in. Darn. So I'm just going to use a little bit of this wood glue, put down in the slot. I broke the high E string with all the ups and downs, as often happens. So I just buy a bunch of these little paintbrushes to use for this kind of stuff. Little touch-ups sometimes in the I'm just going to push that down and in and over where it's supposed to be. I did this with my sander and my hand on the block, and by hand on the block to finish that up. And then we're going to use, where is that plastic thing gone? I was going to use the plastic one, there it is. Put on top of that, because it fits down in there nice. And put the strings up on top. Put some pressure on them to hold that in. Got those in the wrong spot. The rest of these strings are going to end up breaking too, I think. Some of them. Come on, get under. Oh, you go there and you go there. All right, you go there. You got to get them, you know, snug right across there, best you can. Oh, there's no string on that one. That'll put the pressure down on it and keep that shim down there while it's gluing up. I think I have a tiny little bit of squirt out on this side. That's okay, as I was hoping there would be a little bit on those ends. And now let's just cap that off before we dump it, and then let's look at the ends to make sure that they are at the bottom where they should be. Okay, I'm going to move this number 2 string over to the number 1 side, pull that down. And put some pressure there. And maybe I can move this one over a bit too. Like that. We don't care what the tone is, as long as there's pressure. Yeah. So that's going to sit. Yeah, and then the bone will go in afterwards when it's ready. And then I'll be able to use, hopefully, these strings to do some cutting on the top, just to get them in the right proportion over the first fret here. And then we can do some other stuff.